All right, we're going to take a few moments and just set up our stage as we get ready to present to you about Peru. We brought 10 people, and I'm going to have Ian tell all about that. So just come on down. The people that went to Peru with us, come on down, and we'll take a seat up here, and we'll have Ian begin our presentation for you.
Yeah, let's get the whole team up here, and you go ahead and take a seat. It's a really special thing today, guys. So, it's totally different than our deal, but I really hope this is a day that we can enjoy together. It's a special time to, if we can all fit up here. I think we can. The gift, it was really a gift for us to be able to go to Peru. And so we've encouraged everyone that went to share today some of how they were personally impacted. But as people that went to Peru, we want to bring all of what we can back to this congregation. And we represent, actually, there's Harbor is represented here, Lighthouse is represented here, Hillsdale is represented here, Redeemer up in OP is represented here. So a lot of churches, all of us, it's a big representation of different churches, but many of us here from Hillsdale, and a lot of the time spent planning here and getting ready to go here. And don't worry, Sybil, you're good. We're all friends here. But I encouraged our team, hey, even if you don't like speaking or whatever it might be, just share what God has done for you with this, because we were representatives of everyone here there. So it wasn't just us. We felt that we represented all of you while we were there. And they would have loved and treated you as they loved and treated us. And so as you hear our stories today, as you hear what we talk about and see the pictures that we have and the video that we have, all of that, I just ask you to really just ask God what he can teach you today from mission. Hey, why did we go? Why couldn't we have just gone somewhere closer? Why do we have to go somewhere to like Peru? The shocking part of leaving your home and being somewhere totally new with a dependence on people that you don't know in a language that you don't speak, there's a time and there's a place for that. And we did that. And it was something that I'm sure you'll hear was very good for us. So we just want to share and impart as much as we can from that to you today. So we'll share our stuff, and then the deal was that during Sunday school time, for any of you that are interested in asking questions or hearing more about it, we'll kind of have Sunday school time where we'll come back up and have a Q&A and more time to share, as to not do it all during service. So, okay, before we do any of this, I'm going to pray, and then we're going to show our video that we have. So as they get the video dialed up, let me just pray for us. Dear Lord, would you use this time, God, as glorifying of you and you alone, Lord. Let all the experiences that we had and all the memories and such that we share, may those be to your glory today, God, so that we might share the greatest mission of bringing the gospel around the world, God. But that also means here in Hillsdale. So may we represent you well, God, and represent the love of Jesus, and as Mallory explained, the love of strangers in this place, God, and let us never forget those things, Lord, and the lessons that you've taught us in that regard. And help us to have ears, hearts, and minds that receive it today. All of us, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, we just got a 2-minute video. We'll bring the lights down and bring the video up. And hope you guys enjoy just some pictures for now.
To hide this weary soul, this bag of bones.
are you who are poor, for yours is the kingdom of God.
Dichosos ustedes los pobres, porque el reino de Dios les pertenece.
Solid ground, I thank the Master, I thank the Savior, because He healed my heart, He changed my name, forever free. I'm not the same. I thank the Master, I thank the Savior, I thank God. I cannot deny what I see. Got no choice but to believe. My doubts are burning like ashes in the wind. So long.
Marcador, a marker.
Hey! No, you ain't welcome here. From now till I walk streets of gold, I'll sing of how you saved my soul. This wayward son has found his way back home. Oh, he picked me up, turned me around, placed my feet on solid ground. I thank the Master, I thank the Savior, because He healed my heart, changed my name, forever free. I'm not the same. I thank the Master, I thank the Savior. Oh, I thank God.
Okay, all right, cool. Man, it's cool to see all that. Okay, so we're kind of go into the panel side of it, and just so you know, just a couple details. We went there for a week. You know, I'd say some of us speak a little bit of Spanish. Morgan speaks the most Spanish, so she was one of our translators while we were there. There was a lot of shock when we first got there, and then by the end we were, and I didn't send that one in, so somebody found that one for you. But we'll just have some pictures going here at the time. But we're there for a week, and we just had a wonderful, wonderful time. And there's a lot more pictures and videos, and it's so hard to explain it. If any of you have ever been on a trip like that, it's just so hard to translate it. But we'll do our best today. So I guess we'll go down the line, and you just tell us who you are and take a few minutes for your own description, and I want to share it. So this is, you could stand. Yeah, you could, whatever you want. It's fine. Pretty casual here, so okay. All right, here we go.
All right, I'm Brian Cook, and I'm a family doctor down in Osawatomie. And, Ian asked me one day while we were playing hockey, hey, do you want to go to Peru? I said, well, sure, I guess so. So that's how I got on this trip. And I want to share, they showed some pictures of this. One of my favorite things that we did there was in the mornings, there's a school there, and the teachers were getting ready for the school year. Their school year hadn't started yet, and so we got to meet with them every morning and give a devotional time. And I wanted to share a little bit, one thing first. My first couple of impressions of Peru before we got to start these things was it was very dirty, and there's a lot of dogs. That's what I noticed first. But, but the third thing that I found out was that the people there were very loving and welcoming, and I think someone already shared that. But so one morning, Cole gave a devotion on James 1. He also reminded me that this applied to my life while we were there, but we'll talk about it this other way. It says, James 1:2, consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces a perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be more mature and complete, not lacking anything. So he shared that and talked about trials in your life, and then he opened up for sharing. And some people there, they just shared some real hardships they've gone through and how the Lord had brought them through, and it was very touching. It came around to me, so I got to share that one of the things a challenge for me right now is that I have 4 daughters, none of whom are currently following the Lord. And I just shared that with them. The next day, we went back to that class again the next morning, and there's a time after we kind of have our devotion time that we pray together, and they did it various ways, but this way was, hey, just find somebody who speaks Spanish and you speak English and just pray together. And so this lady seeked me out and said, hey, I want to pray for you and your daughters. And I just thought, well, this is amazing. These people are so kind and generous and loving. That just really touched my heart. So I'm going to let John go.
I want to stay sitting because that's more comfortable. So my name is John McEnany. I had the pleasure of going with the rest of this group and my wife. One of the things that stuck out on the first night we were there is their sense of time. They are about 30 minutes late to everything, with the exception of that morning devotional. We were 2 minutes late one day, and we were mocked. Oh, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. Everything else, 20, 30 minutes late. But it was a very humbling experience to have to rely so much on the generosity of strangers, translators. I know no Spanish, none. Yeah. So it was in a fun way. But it was such a good, genuine experience and a good way to see how these people, their priorities are so different, where it's so easy to focus on what I'm doing and how I'm doing things in my own life and not have that reliance on God that they all have. So that was really eye-opening and good to spend starting every morning with the devotional, before work, before anything else. That was a good foundation point. So I think that's all I got.
My name's Mallory McEnany, and going on this trip, my mission was first and foremost the kids and the teachers. I'm a teacher in Shawnee Mission. I teach third grade, and so I was very excited to go and experience the education there, and I was really blessed by the children and the teachers. I got to lead a children's event, and as a teacher, I planned beginning to end of my lesson what we were doing. It was very explicit. I got there, and we were setting up tables in a street. And for one of the first times, I felt like I was being very flexible. So that was a word that I really had to practice there, was flexibility. And so we were doing this children's event, and not many children were showing up, but like John said, they show up late. And we had a Colombian couple there with us, and the guy got on a megaphone and started talking in Spanish and getting children to run out of their homes. And I kid you not, for the children's lesson, we ended up having about 30 children there because of his act of just going on a megaphone. Like, they just came running from their houses. It was beautiful. And so we had children of all ages there to do different activities, and they were there for a little over an hour, and we actually had to end up saying, like, hey guys, it's time to go. So it went really, really well, and then I was blessed by getting to speak with the teachers at the school, and I thought that was going to be about a 40-minute conversation. It ended up being an hour and a half because they were so invested in what I had to say, and they had so many questions. So seeing their love for their community was beautiful. And then another thing that I learned when I was there was experiencing the discomfort in relation to God and prayer. We had a lot of examples where we had to go knock on doors. We don't do that here. And now I want to do that here. And I'm like, at points, John, I would ask him, like, hey, do you think that's something we could do here? But then it's like the concern of, well, here we have to worry about our safety a little bit more than there. The community we were in was so safe, so inviting, but I'm ready to go knock on doors. So I've mentioned that to like some people at Harbor that we're involved with. And then lastly, praying for others out loud in small groups. It's just not something that we do enough. And so for me, that felt uncomfortable. And it still feels uncomfortable, but it's exciting now. And so that's something that I've brought back here with me.
I want to, before you speak, a couple pieces of context to help with that too. The place that we visited had a church. It had a school with like 250 students in it, but it was summertime there, so the kids were on break. So we actually spent a lot of time helping with the teachers. And so the kids are coming back to school right about now. We were there a month ago. So we were helping prepare the teachers for the school year, and so Mallory got to speak directly to all the teachers there, and they got to ask questions. We got to do safety things. Brian you saw Jason on the ground. He was doing a CPR training for the teachers, things like this that are not easily accessible. And so when you have talents present on your team, they use them. But it was very encouraging to see, because we have a school attached to this church with Compass, and we have teachers in our group, and we have people we have Frontier kids, and we have so much of that translated to the church down there, to the school down there. And honestly, it felt very Hillsdale-ish in all things considered, because there's a lot of churches that I've walked into that feel, I've up in the city, it was very corporate, it was very kind of cold. And here, for the good and the bad, we are very, conversational and inviting, and we're going to make sure you get talked to, and whether you like it or not, and that's a good thing. I think the church needs to be that way. And that was the same case down there. It just happened to be in another language. But they were very, as Mallory said, very inviting to you. And we could just knock on the doors. You think, and before going down there, I thought it would be unsafe, which in some ways it was, right? In some ways. But in a lot of the ways, like, you could walk around the streets and knock on people's doors, and they would let you in, and they would feed you, and they would take care of you. Like, it was so, communal. Whereas I don't think you could get away with that here. I mean, once you get to know someone, sure, but strangers, that's a whole, no way, man. We're never talking to a stranger if I don't have to, So anyways, just to give a little bit of context to that, that's forgot to mention that. It's a school. It's a school we're helping with, and we want to keep helping with that school. So, okay, cool.
Okay, so some quick background. So I grew up going to Lighthouse, and I had been involved in that church for a while, and I've gone on some missions through high school. I think last mission trip I went on was to Haiti when I was 15 or 16, and that was a really great experience. But since I went to college and graduated 2 years ago, I haven't done anything super involved in a while. So I got a text from at 10 a.m. on a work day from Ian, hey, you want to go to Peru? I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? But as soon as I accepted that, I still have this. I have, to be candid, some skepticism of short-term mission trips abroad, because sometimes they can be hey, go on this kind of vacation, but you get to feel better about yourself because there's a facade of you're helping people. And I had that, worry, even though I know Ian's character and everything, it's great, but that was just lingering. But as soon as we got there and the work we got to do, it wasn't that at all. It was, and we didn't have this expectation that we're going to completely save these people. We're building a connection, and we're there to serve. But more, and it is also for us to learn from them true mission, how they do it locally for their community. So with that, my main kind of takeaway was, especially from Willem, his drive and his character.
That's the leader of the mission down there.
From Holland, so traveled further than us and has been there for about 10 years. But just if half of us had half of the drive that him and the pastor had, we could have double or triple the impact to our local community just as we are right now. And that's my big conviction is to take that passion and apply it to our immediate neighbors has been my conviction of late of returning from that. So other than that, it was a great experience. You always felt at the end of every day that you're exhausted and ready to hit the hay at 9 p.m., which is a great feeling. But yeah, no, it was great.
Yeah, to Cole's point, we didn't want it to be a vacation. I remember Morgan and Cole both had a lot hey, we want to make sure, we've done a mission before, we want to make sure this isn't, because it can be easily seen as anyone from home, oh, they're in Peru, lucky them, and there is we're blessed to be there situation, but it was not a vacation. It was certainly very trying circumstances. You'd think Peru too, you'd think jungle. This place was a desert. I think they said, 6 milliliters of moisture a year, of rainfall a year. So it's milliliters, right? So it was a desert. It looked like the Middle East, I think is what we ended up saying. It looked like the Middle East. And, we're also not trying to go, woe is us. It was a wonderful time, but we were busy. the whole time. This was a good, there are some missions where it does feel like a vacation. This felt like work, but also the same way that work feels tremendously gratifying in the right way, that was the joy that we had there with the people. Okay, go ahead, Morgan.
I would like to donate my minutes. Just kidding. Just kidding. No, I think the people that we saw exemplified really well the teaching that will be known as disciples of Jesus Christ by our love one for another. Just the way they accepted us into their homes, and like they found out Cole and I were getting married, and we have like a big yarn llama now that's as a wedding gift, and I don't know. I think they all willingly work with their hands for the good of the church and because they love each other, and that's all I got.
Morgan spent so much time translating for us, making connections with people. She won't say it all today. It's not in her nature to brag on herself, but she was a tremendous blessing to our whole team, like really. And they were ready to receive Morgan and Cole as like missionaries down there. They were ready to, they just kept bringing gifts to them. They're like, you're getting married? They just kept showing up with gifts. And the day we were leaving, the pastor showed up and just was like, you have room for all these cakes, don't you? And all this food. And you know what? We found room because we can smash it down there. But Kim, there's some airport stories in there that we won't get into, but try taking this group on to the airport. You know what I mean? They're a lot more ornery than they look. I will say, especially those two women over there. Yeah. Anyways, but Morgan and Cole, they were ready to receive them because they're getting married. There's such excitement and joy. They just shared their joy with that and our joy with them. So they keep showing this picture, Pastor Lori, and it's fascinating. It's okay. I don't know if you wanted to say anything, Lori. Okay.
No, I just wanted to say that Morgan, like you said, everybody. This is called where we went, and Sybil can tell you, is at a place that is sponsored by YWAM, Youth with a Mission. And she found this mission outside of Lima, Peru. And I just wanted to tell you, the two missionaries that lead it, there's the guy on the left, Willem and Erna. They're both from Holland, and they gave up everything and came over 10 years ago and really started a light in the darkness in the slums of Peru. I mean, where we were had nothing, and what they built in the middle of it, where we stayed, has been a lighthouse. The name of it was El Faro, meaning lighthouse, which was hysterical, because we're like, we have a church named Lighthouse, and then we went to the lighthouse. And so they were able to speak Dutch, they were able to speak English, and they were able to speak Spanish with us. But they were so amazed at the abilities of the team to understand a lot of the Spanish, to try to engage in the Spanish, even though we butchered it terribly. And even with Morgan was so fluent with it, they were just so impressed, and she helped us with a lot of it. So I just want to say, she's not saying a whole lot, but she did a lot for that. All of them did. All of them did. I have more stories, but go ahead.
If you didn't speak any Spanish, like you learned it that week.
Learned it.
Like
Kim didn't know anything.
Some of us had some Spanish, and by the end, I was translating for people, and I was like, "What? Like, how did that happen?" Like, Jason started by saying some stuff in Spanish the first day that made some sense, but maybe not the sense he was meaning to say. But by the end, it made a lot of sense. So it awoke so much of it. But
so we all had to introduce ourselves in front of the worship service. The first day we had to lead worship, and so we all had to get up there, and so we're like, soy de, me llamo Lori, soy de Kansas City, I am from Kansas City. Jason gets up there and he goes, soy Kansas City.
I am Kansas City.
I am Kansas City, and what did you say? Me gusta carne. I like meat.
But it was with full confidence. He was like, soy Kansas City, me gusta carne. I am Kansas City. That's what he told them.
I am Kansas City, I like meat.
So, and they thought you looked like, who was it? Chuck Norris.
They thought he looked like Chuck Norris.
They thought he looked like Chuck Norris.
So they'd walk by, they'd be like, Chuck Norris! And he'd be like, it's like, what?
So anyway, I'll let Kim go.
Yeah.
Okay, is this gonna, there we go.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I went in thinking, when I was asked if I would like to go to Peru, I was like, sure, I've never done a mission trip, but how's God gonna use me? And we get there, and I took that picture there, where this is in the church. We painted some of their designs and such for their VBS that they were having the next week or the week after. And I was like, yeah, that's cool, I can do that. And then a few of us went, we all kind of split up in groups to do things, and Lori, Sybil, and I were in the little garden at the church, and we cleaned that up, and that was really fulfilling. We got to clean the medical office that they were going to use the next week as some doctors were coming in to give their services. But what really got me, and it's going to make me cry probably, Ian has a way of getting me out of my comfort zone. And we were going door to door, knocking, inviting people to church and to our Bible study that we were going to have that night. And we asked this lady, and she's in the pictures. I'm hugging her, and Willem's there, and Ian and John. And we asked the lady what she needed prayer for. And she said, my daughter died of cancer, and I have thyroid cancer. I'm like, there you go. That's why I went. I got to pray with her, talk with her, minister to her. And then that night at our little Bible study that we had, there was a man sitting with us who had 5 kids, and his wife died of cancer. Bingo, there I am. And so I think that was pretty much one of the reasons why I was called to go. It was very touching. All the people, just like everyone has said, they're just so, there's the lady right there. They were just so kind, so inviting. No one turned us away when we knocked on their door. No one. Even little kids that answered the door and their parents weren't home, no one turned us away. I just have lots of emotions about things there. People, they have nothing. They live in shacks. You saw the buildings. There's me with the interpreter, Ricky. I went to this home, and there were a couple there, and they were in their 80s. And they lived in like a 10 by 12 shack with holes in it. There was a little mattress on the floor, and the mattress, it was in dirt, but it looked like it was a mattress from a baby crib. And they had 2 5-gallon buckets that they were sitting on, but I believe that was also their bathroom. And the people are happy. They don't know anxiety and depression. And that's just moving. And for me, just being able, cancer knows no country, it knows no other language. But for me to be able to go there and to touch somebody and to reach somebody and to pray with them, that was just amazing for me.
Amen.
And I want to go back.
Yeah. Let me just speak to that, because Kim, she did have those questions at the beginning. It was like, how's God? I want to go. All I can say is I want to go, but I have no idea what I have to offer. I think all of us at the end of the day, that was what, hey, we'll do what we can, but Kim's like, I'm not going to be up there singing. I'm not going to, can I run the slides? She asked, can I run the slides? I say, God's going to use you. Because guess what? God uses your story. God's going to use your skill set or your whatever you've been through, whatever it is. And it was amazing to see how we, going door to door, right, allowed for those stories to happen. Because it was so uncomfortable to be like, bang, 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 bang on these dusty tin doors. And that looked like walls, and you can see this construction. Like that's holding up a building, by the way. Like those, but you're hitting on these, and then suddenly this wall opens up, and it's just like people, and they want to talk to you. And we like rotated people. All right, you ask the next door, you go up there, but there was no hiding on this trip. You couldn't hide. You couldn't hide. Like there was 10 of us so everybody was somebody who spoke. Like you couldn't hide. So Kim, when it was her turn, she went up there, and God just put people in her path that her story just directly went to. This man was sitting there happy as he could be, and he had 4 boys and a girl there, and one of his boys had special needs, and he worked in the city. He was actually Quechua, which was a native population, and we were eating a Quechua dish with him in a home, and we were trying to speak Spanish. His Spanish was so strange. I was trying to make sense of it. It was just me, Sybil, and Kim in this home, and we found out that his wife had passed 2 years prior, and he was still so happy, and he was leading 5 kids and working in the city, which, by the way, is like 30 miles away, but like hours of driving to do. And like the roads are insane. There are no traffic laws. It's just insanity. But Kim was able to just instantly go there with him. And then she was instantly able to go there with this woman. This woman was like, "What are you guys doing at my door?" And then by the end, she was crying. Kim was crying. They were hugging and praying together. Like, that is amazing. It was just so cool to see that God equipped you, Kim, with a story that then you got to carry with you because you went through cancer. You've gone through loss. You've gone through, and all of us have had that moment. All of us had that moment, whatever our stories are, right? And that's the coolest part about mission, is our 5 loaves and 2 fish get offered up. They feel like not enough, and God just continues to multiply from them, and it's a fun thing. So we're going to skip you for now, and we'll go to Sybil. Okay.
Okay. Okay, my name's Sybil. For me, the Peru trip in general was just a very sweet reminder of the importance of trusting God's plan for your life. When I was 15 years old, I got to go to Peru as a foreign exchange student, and I got to live there and experience the culture there. And then later, when I was 20, I joined Youth with a Mission, and I served with them for 6 months. And that was it was in 2019. And so when I finished, I came home, and I was going to raise money to go back and to continue doing missions. But then COVID happened, and I wasn't able to go. So then I was at the time, I was very frustrated because I felt like this was something that God had put on my heart to do, but I couldn't do it yet. But here, the Peru trip was just the answer to that. I got to take all these people and help plan the trip with Ian to go to a YWAM base that's down there. Because of my connections with YWAM, I was able to get us down there, and it's been amazing being able to see all of that happen. But yeah.
Yeah, Sybil was the engine behind this trip. Part of my job was to help get us ready to, get the people do some asking. But Sybil went home after a meeting her and Michaela and I had about missions and researched this place, found it, wrote up a whole giant document, and sent it to us that night in a manic frenzy saying, "This is a great place, let's go there." And we did. And so Sybil, having had gone there before, was our assurance that we weren't going to die and that it was going to be a good place to go. We had talked to so we thought about it this way, guys. We thought about, where is Hillsdale and our surrounding area? Where can we go on mission where we can bring back the lessons and use them here? That's really part of the big deal. We knew that there's a large Hispanic population in our area. We knew a lot of us spoke Spanish, so it made sense. We thought about going to other places in the world, but we thought, okay, let's go to South America. I had friends in Costa Rica. I was like, let's go to Costa Rica. And then I talked to some friends from there, and they said, we're good. We're just like you. We're churched up. We don't really need missionaries. Where you need to go is Peru. We're trying to send our people from Costa Rica to Peru. That's where they need it right now. So if you're going to go anywhere and you want to really be helpful, go there. So we said, okay, let's look at Peru. And Sybil had been there before. So we said, great. So we did. And anyways, it just all lined up. Again, God just used all these personal stories and histories together. And Sybil deserves a ton of credit for that. And she did a great job, and she knew the local foods and the drinks and things like that. So we had a lot of fun there. And she loves Inca Cola. Yeah, there's a drink called Inca Cola, and it tastes like, I don't know, albuterol. But Sybil loves it. And so every time I'd get some, I'd be like, thanks. And I'd give it to Sybil. She would drink it, and it's like that was it. But it was on a real note, though, it was very moving, and it was very good to see Sybil as kind of our local missionary style. Like she has a heart for that, so it was good to see that happen. Okay.
Like Kim, when I got asked to go, I was just kind of going. I was like, all right, cool. I'll give this a shot. Don't know what's going to happen, and of course, we all wanted to go and bless people. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, man, I think I'm going to get more out of this trip than I could ever do for anybody else, and that did, at least to my perspective, kind of be the case. You can see that picture that keeps popping up there with that little girl. She just came up to me, and I was just like, oh, okay, here, you have some paper and some colored pens. And then she was just attached to me the rest of the trip. She'd come up and give me a huge hug. And just seeing that level of gratitude from something so small and from a place where they just don't have a lot, it just kind of opened up a place, I guess, in my heart that I didn't really know was there. So that was a really cool trip. I mean, we got a lot out of it. I'm at the end, so it's probably a lot of just saying the same things that they would say. I mean, but I was really glad to get to go. I didn't really know why Ian or Sybil asked me to go in the first place, but I was just kind of like, all right, cool, yeah, I'll go. And it was great, man. Just getting to see these people, the perspective of a place where they totally rely on God for everything, and how much happier they are than the stuff that can get in our lives. Or like John said, I related to what John said a lot. You get stuck on what you're doing, what you need to accomplish, and how you can get better or move on and improve, and you kind of just forget to sit back and realize who's in control. So I got a lot out of it. I wish I could say more, and I wish I could kind of make you understand what it really meant, but that's the best I got.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to explain it. You know, if you've been somewhere, it's hard to explain it. But that's why we'll try to do some Q&A stuff at the end after service, so that we can answer your questions about it. But Jason was, I mean, again, not only did they call him Chuck Norris every time, you know, and they really liked him, and he represented our American man that was there doing his thing, you know, and like, but we were in homes. We'd split up into groups, several of us in different homes, and there was one time where there was, I think it was, I don't know who was with you, but Jason was in one of these homes. I wasn't there, and they just had a guitar, and there was like a Bible study, and we thought that they were going to lead us in Bible study, and so we had 3 different groups in different homes, and they all turned to us when it was time to go, and they're like, all right, what are we doing? And our groups were like, and so we, like, one thing that happened was that Sybil had written a lesson on her phone like 2 nights before, because she thought of a really good lesson from something that happened in Peru. So she said, I have a lesson with me right now that I just wrote like yesterday. I'll teach that. And so she was ready with one. We're like, okay. And then they handed Jason apparently a guitar. They're like, you're doing worship, right? In Spanish. And he was like, yep. and
you had to tune the guitar first, and then we
so
I had to download an app.
Yeah.
With 1 bar of service, and
right,
tune
right.
it over the next half
but
hour.
We did it.
And then I got 1 song in, and I was like, all right, sweet, I'm wiping sweat off. Let's just watch YouTube.
Yeah, let's do YouTube worship. But it was those situations where a lot of us were planned, like Mallory said, like Brian, we're very planned. We wanted to know exactly how things were going to go, and those just so rarely happened. Like Mallory had this wonderful plan for a children's program, and we're going to get all the kids to do this, and we're going to do this. And the reality was we were in a dusty road with tables outside of somebody's house, and we had to have the guy go into, like, from door to door and yell with a megaphone, come out, kids, come out. And they did. And then they loved it, and they stayed, and their attention was on it for hours. But it just never went as we planned. I was supposed to preach, and I did on that Sunday. We left on a Saturday, got in Saturday night, and I got up Sunday morning and preached. And I tried to use some of my Spanish, and it was fine. But I preached to them like I'd preached to you, and it didn't work. It just wasn't, it did not hit home with them. Like the kind of things I was talking about, the kind of things that I'd been through were not the things that they had been through. I was talking about anxiety and depression and young adults and all this stuff that I'm involved with, and they were just like, what? Like, why are you bored? Like, why are you depressed? Like, what? It was just that the things we suffer from here, and there's reasons for that, they weren't suffering from there. They had their different things they suffered from. There was a whole nother slew of things. But it certainly seemed, and I'll talk more about it in a second, but it certainly seemed like we had to make pivots at every point, and it was really, really good for us, all of us. Not even just the pastors, but like everybody grew up because of that.
Yeah. So I want to just speak real quick. I did not really want to go to Peru. So just saying, I love Spanish. I studied it, back in college and all that. But Ian just kept on me. He said, you need to do this and take the lead so that your congregation will. And I want to say, there's going to be more of these trips, and hopefully we're going to go back down there because there's so much need and so much you can do. And I would love for any of you to go. I was the oldest on the trip, so there's a little bit of like, can I really do this? Do I have the energy for it? And as all of you know, I'd hit like I had my mom here and everything. I just was not ready for it. But I did it anyway, and I just said, God, please help me. And so I just want to say we flew in that night, and you don't lose hours because we're on the same time zone except they're Eastern time. So that's really good. You don't get behind on your sleep or anything like that. But when we flew in on that Saturday night, it was just all this activity going on in Lima. We crammed into a 7-passenger van that this guy, Willem, picked us up, a missionary. We didn't know how it was going to go down. We were trusting these two, and I was just like, okay. And we were hot, and it was because it's summertime. We're cramming in there. There's no seat belts, okay? There's nothing about our society that makes us all safe, and we wipe our hands off all the time, and we're clean. None of that, all right? We go, where's the luggage going to go? And he says, on the top of the van. So he's up there strapping everything we own onto the top of the van. We're sitting in the way back in the third row, no way out. I'm envisioning that we're going to get in an accident and it's going to go up in flames and I can't get out of this van, okay? I'm starting to panic a little bit. We get on the road. I felt like we had flown into hell, okay? That's how all right, I haven't been to Haiti, so I know it's even worse. But flying into Peru, that night for me, the culture shock was real, all right? Because they can't drive. It's Saturday. There's cars. I mean, you can see the person in a car right here. You could touch them, all right? And we're on the road for like, I don't know how long, and it gets worse.
They drove on the sidewalk.
Right. There's garbage everywhere. And the dogs. The gangs of dogs, okay? And they're every kind of dog. They're not just one kind. They've been abandoned, all right? We treat our dogs like we do. These dogs living in villages just are dogs. As John said, when we were teaching the kids outside, the ratio of kids per dogs was the same, okay? It was like we had kids and then German shepherds. I mean, it was like but you know what? They didn't do anything to them, and the kids weren't afraid of them at all. Now, if they bit you, it probably wouldn't be good, right? But God protected us, but they just live with it. They just live with that. But we kept going, and I kept thinking, where are we going to stay? Oh my gosh, we're going to die. And we get into this neighborhood, and it's a slum, all right? But there's this. But then there's this building in the middle, and it's El Fado. And Willem gets out, and we take that nighttime picture, and he's like, okay, we'll see you in the morning. And, he's like, amen. He's like, He
stayed somewhere. He
goes
home.
back to his apartment, and he's like, okay, So, but in the morning, I woke up, too, and it's like tamales, tamales, tamales. So somebody's out on the road, like, selling, because that's how they make their money. They sell anything they can make, right? And I look out, and there's this water truck coming in the desert, because it's total desert. It's coming down the road with this big hose, and he's flipping it up on the top of the houses into their water funnel, whatever you would call.
Jug.
And it says water for human consumption on it. And they're flipping it up into it, and they literally have water in this huge, what would you call it? Cistern.
Yeah, cistern.
And it sits on top, and it just makes its way into the house. And that's how there's no water system, okay? That's how they do it. And we got to clean it, and we took 2 of them down, and Morgan climbed into it, and Ian climbed into it, and cleaned out these cisterns that were full of soot, and that's what their water's coming from, okay? So for us, all of a sudden, it was just major. But by the morning, we're walking down to the church because they were leaving one church and they were building this new church. So it really was a wonderful thing. But we started to feel very safe because people were just out and they were kind and nice, and there was no threat of a person pulling a gun on you or doing anything. And as we began to get into their neighborhood, I mean, it was like, and so the one thing I want to say, first of all, is go on missions, because it made me realize there's a world outside here, right? And people want to know the gospel. These people knew they needed God. They knew it, and they wanted to hear about it. You come home, no one wants to hear from you. They avoid you. I go shopping at Walmart. They know I'm a pastor. They cut corners to get away from me because they don't want to hear about it. These people want to hear about it. They want to know the gospel. And it was great because we felt like we were being used 24/7 in telling about the gospel. And just for last, and I'll let Ian close it because we're going to sing, because I know you're probably getting tired of hearing us. We go, they look like Eskimos because there is a connection between the Indians in Peru and actually the Eskimos up in Alaska, which is funny because that's where you guys are going to go, that made their way all the way down to Peru, okay? But we go the first day banging on somebody's door. We walk in, and there's this big guy sitting in the middle of his slab cement floor with like 2 chairs, and he looks like a big old Eskimo. Remember him? And his wife and his children are there, and they had nothing. They had nothing. They were clean, though. They were always very clean in their presentation, but they had nothing. And they said, well, come on in and we'll listen to you. So we're like, oh, my God. Okay, so he sets his daughters down. They're not fidgeting. They're not on their phones. They're not rolling their eyes like, oh, God, I have to hear this. They wanted to hear. Their children listened. They wanted to hear, okay? And Ian and I are looking at each other like, what could I possibly say to this man that would mean anything, right? I mean, he's living in just, I can't describe what they're living in, but he's very happy about it. And he had this big picture of his dad up on the wall that I thought was like the president of Peru. I'm like, oh, it's El Presidente. And I'm like, no, Papa, like, oh, okay. So, but we begin to speak to them in the best way we can, and they were so moved and so just grateful that we cared about them. We're from America. They honored that. They weren't anti-American in any way. They honored that. And then they bring out food for us. Or Inca Cola. That was their big thing. They served us every time, and they're living in nothing. So for me, it was just an amazing experience. If you want to do something, do it, because you will live through it. You'll be fine. I slept better down there than I sleep here because I was active the whole time. So anyway.
Okay, I'll just say a few things to close out our time today, but we will talk more afterwards if you are curious and want to hear more. I know we've talked a lot, and I appreciate all of you all listening today and in lieu of a sermon, but I really hope that what we have to say moves you. It moves us, and as Jason expressed, it's really hard to translate it. It's really hard to translate it. So that means that you have to go kind of experience something like this for yourself. I will say this. Every person here is meant to be on mission for Jesus. That doesn't mean you're going to have to go to another country, although I think everyone should at some point do something like this, if you can do it, because it will move you. And trust God that He will move your heart in ways that you don't realize. You just don't know. Even if everything was going, I have no reason to go. Well, God's going to use you, right? It's the 5 loaves and 2 fish thing. But we must all see the world like we are on mission. If Jesus has touched your life, you're a disciple. And what does a disciple mean? You are carrying the love of Jesus with you. And one of the worst things to do is to hide that, right? One thing I found, I heard, it was like the difference between loving someone, hating someone, and not caring. Well, it was like loving someone takes a lot of emotional investment, so that's hard, right? Hating someone, which we don't want to do, but at the very least, that actually takes a decent amount of emotional investment. But something the most hateful or the most, the worst thing you can do is just not care. Like, I mean, hating, yeah, we don't want to do that, right? But not caring is a whole nother level where it's like, I just don't care enough to even talk to you, to even think about you, to do anything to help you. because I don't want to invest any of my emotions in you at all. And it's just that kind of convicted me down there. I'm like, we just don't think about people outside of our home. And that's natural, right? So we must kind of go against our own devices in our minds that want to seclude, that want to isolate, that want to insulate. One thing I really, really noticed down there was that because there was so much poverty and the homes were so put together in tight-knit communities, you couldn't insulate yourself from the outside world. And man, we love to do that. You know, looking for houses and things like that where we can just make sure every part of the world is inside our home, so there's no reason for us to go outside our home. Amen? Like, that's what we do. Like, a lot of those things that we now have inside our home used to be community things that you'd have to go do with other people or go see. And now it's like, well, add that room in, or have this thing here, or bring this thing in here. And anything I can do to not interact with people when I don't want to interact with people. I love interacting with people when I want to, right? So it's this kind of impetuousness, this immaturity that's like, I never have to go outside of my own comfort zone. When I talk to people, it's because I want to. When I don't talk to people, it's because I want to. When I give, it's because I want to. When I don't give, it's because I want to, right? Everything is, we dictate all of it. And it was just nice to be in a place, and it's not like we're making idols out of the people there. They were just as flawed as us in just different ways, in ways that we didn't recognize as much. But one thing we learned was you cannot be insulated or isolated there. And even just putting up with each other. And so it felt like we kind of gather all of our toys around us here in Kansas or here in America, and we circle ourselves with them, and we distract ourselves with our toys so much that we never have to interact with people in a missional way, only in a self-motivated kind of way. You know what I'm saying? So mission, you must sometimes pluck yourself out of your own bag of toys and chuck yourself into a place that's uncomfortable. And when you do that, God teaches you stuff. And he was just teaching us lesson after lesson after lesson. And I just really want to emphasize that we get to do that. So how can God put you on mission either here in Hillsdale or at your work or in your family, or if there's a place that you have a heart for in the world and you don't know what to do with that, you should bring that to your local church and say, maybe this is far off in the future, but I would love to look at what it looks like to go on a mission trip to this place, or to go see these people, or what can I do in Kansas City to go be helpful, or what need is present here. And if you see that, if God is knocking on the door of your heart to be on mission, then bring that to your church, because that's part of their job, is to help you do that. And this was just a little sample size of what I felt like part of my job was, not only just to go help other places, but to help develop the leader in each one of us, was to get out there and do it. And Kim, use your gift. And Jason, use your gift. To simply, all of us, go out there. John, do your thing. And we did it. And it was flawed, and it was hard, but it was amazing, and God used it. And that's ministry.